Hello, my name's Scott Davis. Welcome to New World Birth. This is the weekly neutrino forecast for December 7th to December 13th of 2014. And on December 7th, we have the sun. You can see it right here, denoted by the black circle with the dot in it. It's in Sagittarius. And as we look outside, we can see it's in the fifth hexagram, which is the chop mark at the top of the outside of the wheel. And as always, numbered from bottom to top. The fifth hexagram goes yang, 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 yin, yang, yin. And the fifth hexagram is then mapped to an opening in a energy channel called a gate. And right here we have the fifth gate of fixed rhythms, waiting, the fundamental attunement to natural rhythms, waiting as an active state of awareness. Located in the sacral center, in a collective logic energy path in the understanding circuit called the channel of rhythm, a design of being in the flow that connects to the 15th gate of extremes, modesty, the quality of behavior which expresses the proper balance between extremes. And I found human design to be amazingly accurate in describing the person, that I use it as my primary tool when I provide readings. And we have the following activated gates on December 7th. The sun is in the 5th gate. We've got the earth is in the 35th gate, the north node in the 57, the south node in the 51. Mercury is also in the 5th gate with the sun. Venus is in the 11th gate. Mars is in the 60th gate. And then we have Jupiter, which is at a standstill as it's preparing to turn retrograde on December 8th, up here in the 4th gate. Saturn in the 14th gate. And then we have Uranus is retrograde in the 21st gate. Neptune is in the 55, and Pluto is in the 38. So obviously not every gate activation forms a channel, but this information can be very helpful if you know your own human design chart, because some of these transits will form channels with potentials in your personal body graph. And you can get your human design chart by going to jovianarchive.com. Click on the button that says get your free rave chart, and then just enter in your birth information. So basically, the neutrino forecast is just a weather report, and no matter what the weather, an individual's strategy and authority is the correct choice to have an authentic experience regardless of the program. As Ra Uru said, whatever the weather is going to be, you have your neutrino umbrella. As long as you're experimenting with your strategy and authority, the weather is for your pleasure. And as we begin the week, we have no channel definitions due to the transit field. We're going to be looking at the sun's ravaging line values daily, because 70% of the neutrinos we receive come from the sun. And as Ross said, in living with the program, the lines of the day, when talking about these daily shifts of line values, he said, we can always take advantage of the themes of the day. If your strategy and authority doesn't lead you in that direction, you can always just notice how the program is affecting others in your environment. So let's get started. On December 7th, it begins with the sun detrimented in the 4th line of the 5th hexagram, which is described as the hunter, waiting as a guarantee of survival. Detrimented, the vanity of personality so strong that it's unwilling to hide behind the blind, threatens its very survival. The drive to deny one's own rhythms with predictable costs. 4th line days, it has an outward perspective with the themes of friendship, companionship, and networking. So it's also very good for social interactions. Later on the 7th, the sun then moves from the opportunist line up into the heretical line, the 5th line. The shift happens at 3:01 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. The times I'm going to be giving you are all going to be Eastern Standard Time, so you want to convert them to your local time zone. And the sun in the 5th hexagram, in the 5th line, is described as joy, waiting as an aspect to enlightenment, exalted to remain calm as the ultimate aesthetic, and thus recognize the inner meaning of being, the power to be calm and find one's own place in the flow. Detrimented, joy dismissed as an illusion, waiting as failure, disillusionment with recognizing one's place in the flow. And the fifth line day, again, is the heretic, so it's about suspicion and also universalization, where something can spread like a virus. Like a YouTube video where there's suddenly millions of viewings, or a Facebook post where something goes viral. But there's also a great deal of suspicion and paranoia on a fifth line day, which is about projection. The projection is always positive, followed by negative. They could do it, they'd be great at it. And then if the person doesn't do it, can't do it for whatever reason, they don't meet the expectation because the thing doesn't get done, then the negative projection comes, the punishment comes, which impacts the nature of relationships. Seduction is also a theme of the fifth line day. Also on the 7th, Mars moves from the 60th gate to the 41st. And so Mars is in the gate of contraction, decrease, the limitation of resources, which maximizes the development of potential. Mars in the 41-1 is reasonableness, the appropriate delegation of responsibility, exalted imagination to make the best out of very little, coolness, where the energy to release feelings is selective, detrimented, a tendency in understanding to assume capability, leading to strain, the hothead, the urge to release feelings. And Ross spoke about Mars being an extraordinary and immature energy resource that lacks refinement and is subject to outbursts. Mars represents the warrior archetype, and so by following our strategy and authority, we slowly refine the energy of our design and personality Marses from immaturity to wisdom. And then on the 8th, the sun then moves into the 6th line of the 5th hexagram. So now we're up here in the role model line on the roof of the hexagram. The shift happening at 1:11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. The sun in the 5-6 is yielding. Waiting is never free from pressure, physical or mental, and often punctuated by the unexpected, exalted, the growth in awareness that comes with being in the universal flow, accepting that in one's own fixed rhythm, despite pressures, growth will be empowered, and often through the unexpected. There's no polarity, so detrimented, there's no planet in detrimented. 6th line days, Ra talked about not getting stuck with your head in the clouds because you'll have something run into your kneecaps. It's a day where there's a lack of focus on what's going on around you because folks are looking beyond their immediate environment. Like 3rd line days, there's certain dangers of not seeing a car coming, not seeing a bill coming, things like that. And then later on the 8th, first Mercury, and then followed by the sun, moves from the 5 to the 26. So I'm going to just move this. But in moving this, it's changing for both Mercury and for the sun as they both shift on the 8th. So let's go through this. And then also the Earth moves from the 35th gate in hexagram to the 45, which brings us this definition. All right. So let's talk first of all of the Earth. In the 45th hexagram, this is the gate of the gatherer, gathering together the natural and genetically beneficial attraction of like forces. This shift happens at 11:20 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so just 40 minutes before midnight Eastern Standard Time. And we have the sun in the 26th gate, which is the gate of the egoist, the taming power, the great, the maximization of the power of memory applied to the nurturing of continuity. And the sun is in the first line of the 26, which is a bird in hand, exalted, the ability to enjoy the dreams engendered by accomplishments in order to avoid disillusion of unlikely potential, the ego which transcends limitation through dreaming, detrimented accomplishment as a license for foolhardy risk-taking, the refusal of the ego to be satisfied. And the sun, now we're in the first, lower trigram, first, second, third lines are more about the inward process. So people are more absorbed in what they're doing within themselves under the lower trigram influence. First line days is about fear or anxiety that needs to be investigated, and so it's a day to study, not to act. A day to look into things, not to jump. It's a good day to deal with things you don't understand, can't make sense of, or don't know. And then with the Earth in the 45th gate and Uranus in the 21st gate, we have the 21-5 channel called the money line, which is tribal, so it's about resources and the support of the family, and also those people that even if they're not blood are part of your tribe or extended family. This could condition folks to gain resources through their willpower, often without others to collaborate with. This will bring a focus on the haves and the have-nots on the material plane. This is a time period when people will believe that they can manifest what they want through their will, which it will complete on December 14th when the Earth moves into the 12th gate. So those folks who have not completed their will to materialism by that date will find that their efforts will fall flat. Also, as we mentioned before, Mercury moves from the 5 into the 26. And a few hours before the sun. Mercury's the messenger of the gods. This is about communication, expression of human consciousness through communication. And Ra talked about that it's not just as words, but also as music. And what do you need to communicate in life? Well, we communicate the message of our design Mercury through the medium of our personality Mercury. And what might be communicated when Mercury's in the 26th? Well, pretty much everything from lies to great truths. This is the gate of the egoist, the taming power of the great, the maximization of power of memory applied to the nurturing of community. Mercury in the 26-1 is a bird in hand, exalted, the ability to enjoy dreams engendered by accomplishments in order to avoid the disillusion of unlikely potential. The ego, which transcends limitation through dreaming. Detrimented accomplishment as a license for foolhardy risk-taking and the refusal of the ego to be satisfied. And then on the 9th, the sun moves into the second line. So we've moved from the investigative line up into the hermit line of the 26th hexagram. And this shift happening at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And the sun is exalted in the 26th too, which is described as the lessons of history, exalted the energy and depth of reflection to learn from the past in anticipation of the future. The power of the ego to mature through experiences. And second line days, everybody's waiting for something. They're waiting for the call, to be called for their natural talents. People can be really stuck in their own trip, so it might not be a great day to have a party because people would rather just stay home under the second line influence. And then also on the 9th, Venus moves from the 11th gate to the 10th gate. Bringing us another definition. Of the perfected form. All right, so let's go through Venus here. Venus in human design is very powerful and deeply misunderstood, according to Ra. It brings morality, natural law in which we deal with the other and the consequences of the world around us, and what disturbs you on a moral level. Well, your design and personality Venuses tell you about the moral dilemma that you're going to work with in your life, and that if you don't act with moral clarity, Venus can be unkind in its retribution. Venus in the 10th gate of the behavior of the self, treading, the underlying code of behavior which ensures successful interaction despite circumstances. Venus is in the first line of the 10th hexagram, which is modesty, the innate sense to know and accept one's place, exalted, a valued sense of purpose no matter what the position, the ability to know one's place and how to act despite circumstances. Detrimented, the affliction of oversensitivity and hurt feelings, oversensitivity to external conditioning of behavior. And with Venus in the 10th gate and the North Node in the 57th, we have the channel of the perfected form until the 13th. And this is the design where for survival, where behavior becomes art. The defined splenic center brings intuition and well-being, but Rob warned that non-splenic people who don't have the splenic center defined, may let go of something that is good for them during a transit defining the splenic center. The influence of this transit may be that folks need to perfect their form, however they define that. Whether it's their bodies, their work, their home, their art, whatever form means for them. This brings the love of art that is created simply for the enjoyment of the artist. Folks may find that they have more of an ability to think on their feet under this influence. It's individual circuitry. So this, Ross says, well, when you have that, there's clouds in the weather forecast, because the definition brings melancholy or blue feelings that really is best used, channeled into some type of creative activities. And then on the 10th, the sun moves into the third line. So we're up in the line of the martyr of the 26th hexagram. With the shift happening at 7:39 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The sun's exalted in the 26th-3 and is influence, the ability once prepared to gather support, exalted, the authority to focus communal effort, the power of the ego to gather support. Third line days are days to maybe be careful on the road, be careful swinging doors, swinging elbows. This is the line of the martyr. So trial and error process, bonds made and broken, a system of discovery by figuring out what doesn't work. So, things bump into you under the third line energy. So this might be a day when we have bonds made or bonds broken or both in the same day. A third line day is about a trial and error process and that things bump into you. It's a good material day. It's a good day to do business and work on the material plane, but you have to be careful because things can go wrong. But the things that go wrong are here to lead to discovery. And then on the 11th, the sun then moves into the fourth line of the 26th. So we move from the lower trigram to the upper trigram, from the martyr up into the opportunist line of the 26th, which is where the shift happens at 5:47 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and the sun in the fourth line of the 26th. This is described as censorship, the alteration of memory through elimination, exalted the ability through censorship to save the collectivity from itself. The power of the ego maintained through forgetting, detrimented, the use of censorship to maintain status quo, selective memory, and in the fear of unrestrained consequences, the power of the ego maintained through selective memory. And fourth line days, again, we're moving from the lower trigram of an inward perspective to the outward perspective of the upper trigram. So again, great for social interaction. People are more open to networking, being friendly and social under the fourth line influence. And then on the 12th, the sun moves into the fifth line of the 26th. This shift happening at 3:55 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The sun in the 26th 5 is described as adaptability, exalted, the understanding of mechanics, and the appreciation of energy to achieve maximum potential. The power of the memory, which maximizes the potential of the ego to attract others. Detrimented, a resistance and dissatisfaction when basic changes to nature are necessary. The resistance of the egoist to adaptation. Fifth line days again, the heretic. So we're talking suspicion, we're talking projection, we're talking about paranoia, which really isn't paranoia if they are out to get you, and which is often the case when they're projecting onto you something that where there's an expectation that you're not going to meet for whatever reason. So also on the 12th, Mercury leaves the 26th. The sun stays there, but Mercury leaves, and Mercury moves up into the 11th. And so we've talked about Mercury being the messenger of the gods. So this is about communication. So what might Mercury communicate in the 11th hexagram? Well, stimulation through seeking and reflection, because this is the gate of ideas, peace, a harmonic condition in the individual or society that permits assessment before renewed action. And Mercury's in the first line of the 11th hexagram. This is attunement, the serendipity of being in the right place at the right time, exalted, the nourishment derived from being with those who share the same goals and aspirations, the gift of finding those who will value your ideas. Detrimented, the fear of anonymity, as a sense that no one will value their ideas. And then on the 13th, the sun moves into the sixth line. So we've gotten to the role model line again of the 26th hexagram. The shift happening at 2:03 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The sun's exalted in the 26th 6, which is authority, the natural attainment of influence justified by correctness of actions, exalted, the embodiment of reason and purpose that passes the test of time, the strong ego whose influence is justified by the correctness of actions. And again, 6 line days, we're on the roof of the hexagram. When you're on the roof of your house, you're looking at everything in the neighborhood, not so much what the house that you're standing on. So people are looking beyond what's going on in the immediate environment. Also on the 13th, Venus moves from the 10th gate into the 58th gate. And we talked about Venus being about morality and human design. Venus in the 58th gate of aliveness, the joyous. Stimulation is the key to joy. Venus is exalted in the first line of the 58, which is the love of life, exalted. The very stimulation of the world is based on an aesthetic appreciation of its beauty and wonder. Alone or shared with others, the profound inner realization is the key for a joyous harmony with the process of being, the energy which fuels the love of life. And this week the sun continues to move through the 9th hexagram, the 5th hexagram, the 26, and the 11, which are all the gates that are associated with the Prometheus God's head, which was covered in the offering from November 23rd. So no matter what the energies are that are conditioning you during the week, remember this experience is about being a passenger, riding in a vehicle driven by the magnetic monopole. So enjoy the scenery. Let the vehicle take you where you need to go through using your strategy and authority. Every day we have is a blessing, no matter what the dramas are that are beckoning to distract us. We're all here giving the performance of a lifetime on the world stage. Just take some time to observe the play, observe your movie, as well as act your part by remember that you're a spiritual being that's having a human experience. I want to thank you for checking out New World Birth. The next segment of the weekly neutrino forecast will be on December 14th of 2014, should be available on the 13th, when we're going to continue to look at the influence of the heavenly bodies as they transit the sky and the hexagrams of the I Ching. You can check us out on Facebook, Blogger, or YouTube, and I encourage you to share this information as videos or as text as widely as you choose. I invite you to contact me at newworldbirth@yahoo.com if you have any questions or you wish to schedule a reading. And if you've been thinking about getting a reading, please contact me. I'd love to provide you a reading during these uncertain times. You'll need to either be able to call me in Maine in the USA, or we can connect with Skype to receive your reading. We're also accepting donations to keep these reports freely available. And if you want to make a donation, just email me at newworldbirth@yahoo.com, and I'll send you instructions on how to do that. Or getting a reading is another wonderful way to make a donation, get something that's very valuable. These are pretty epic readings. They tend to go on for at least a couple of hours as I explore the depth and details about you and also about what's happening in your world, through the transits. Again, if you're interested, please do contact me at newworldbirth@yahoo.com. As always, I'm blessed that you've taken the time to connect with my passion for these ancient mysteries and their application to our journey during this incarnation. The light in me honors the light in you. Namaste, in Lakesh, and as Ra would say, love yourself. And thanks again. I am grateful that you've taken the time to connect with this, and I look forward to connecting with you in a reading, of course, the radio show, which should be back on air in January, or certainly in a future video. So thanks for everything, everybody. All my best to you.